Hey, welcome Bulldog fans. We're live at Yoyo's for episode 3 of the Coach's Couch. This is exciting, folks, because we have a live audience. And I'm telling you what, it isn't packed yet, but it is filling up quickly.
Well, they knew you were here, Dan.
Well, there's not enough parking, so they're working on, I think they're just filtering in. I think they're making their way here. If you're online, welcome. We're going to do this every week. We know this is going to build. We know this is kind of the first go at our live show. By the way, if you are online, we're taking questions. So please fire off questions for Coach Adkins. It is your show. And we're going to field those questions later in this show. So if you have a question for Coach, by all means, fire it in there on the YouTube. Comment, like, share, subscribe, all of that. We're happy. Thank you, Yoyos, for hosting us tonight. We do have a pretty good crowd. We've got some special guests tonight, Coach. That's new for your Coach's Couch. Of course, we have Chad Collins over there. And in case you forget his name, it's right on his chest. So,
because he forgot it.
Because he forgets it. Yeah, that's exactly right. So, welcome to the live show. Once again, I'm Dan. You know Coach Adkins. We always start, Coach, by talking about last week. I think it's important to recap the game before, kind of talk about what went wrong, what went right. We were, of course, we're coming in 1-2, homecoming week, but rewinding, we had a really, really powerhouse team in Sycamore come down here, and I thought we competed really well. A couple of big plays, but overall, I'd like to hear your thoughts on overall performance against a perennial powerhouse Sycamore Spartan team that came down here.
Yeah, I think you said it perfect. I think we did compete. We played hard. We played physical for 4 quarters against a really good ball club, a 3-0 ball club that's beat some 7 and 8A schools. I felt really good about the effort that our kids gave. At the end of the day, that's kind of what we preach as a coaching staff. As long as you're giving effort, we can coach up everything else. And I thought our kids did a fantastic job of giving effort all night long. We knew it was going to be a 4-quarter war, and we challenged our kids last week, and they kind of stood up to the challenge. And I was really proud of them and happy for the way that they played physical for 4 quarters against a really good physical ball club, no doubt.
So, a couple of things I want to ask you about that game. We talked in the post-game, right after the game, I guess that would be the post-game, just about how the kickoff return for a touchdown kind of turned it. Some of the other things we kind of just want to pick your brain on and how we prepared for this week is there were 3 or 4 players that just had some critical drop passes. You think that's attributed to nerves? And it's generally people that we don't see, making that kind of mistake. How did that get corrected in this week's prep?
Yeah, it's a great question. I can guarantee you that Coach Pogue got our special teams corrected. That it was a point of emphasis this week from Monday in the team meeting when he first addressed the kids about it. Throughout the entire week of practice, we were able to devote more time to it this week. We filmed it this week, made notes on it this week. Again, we know that was one of the factors in the outcome of the game on Friday. Unfortunately, was that kickoff return for a touchdown that they had. Couple missed assignments defensively, a blown coverage, and then, like you said, offensively, when you go an entire half of not scoring, for an offense like ours that scores a lot, that's tough to do. And yes, a lot of it was attributed to some major drops that we had. And it was a combination of some mental mistakes, of some nerves, and then also some excitement, right? The adrenaline of, I'm going to catch this and I'm going to go score, when we think too much about scoring and not catching the ball first. So, our major emphasis this week from an offensive standpoint was focus. We must remain focused at all times. Again, when the crowd gets going, when the adrenaline gets going, or even maybe when things aren't going well, we have to stay focused, and that is focused on catching the ball first. And as something as simple as it sounds, we went back to the basics of catching the football first. We have great athletes that once they get the ball in their hands, they're going to make things happen. we have to make sure that they get the ball in their hands first. And so that's why, like I said, our emphasis was focus on the catch, focus on the run after, but then focus on the next play. Again, good or bad, you drop it, hey, get the next one. Focus on the next play. You're only as good as your next opportunity. But we had to preach that word focus this week, because I feel like we had a lack of it with some of those drops you mentioned, and again, nerves, adrenaline, maybe kind of all the above, unfortunately.
So you have 30 seconds to answer this, because our executive producer might throw a flatbread pizza at me if we go over. But one of the things that I was just kind of thinking about was, Mahomet's a winning team. Historically, this is a really good program. And if you're on the outside looking in, you look at it and you go, oh, well, we're not winning. How do you prepare the kids to have a winning mentality despite what the record currently says?
They do. There's no doubt. Our senior leadership that we have has been tremendous this week, actually through the first 3 weeks. And it's been different. Right? It's been different for us. We talked about it on Monday, and it's okay to talk about it. This is the first time we've had a losing record after the first week in a very long time. And it's okay to talk about that stuff, because again, especially the senior leaders that we have, that's fuel, that's motivation that continues to drive these kids. And again, we had a great week of practice. You would never be able to tell that we're 1-2 right now. Our kids are focused. They are, again, motivated. They know the task at hand. We're opening conference play this week. We're excited for the opportunity to defend our crown, but again, continuing to better ourselves each and every day for hopefully what is a week 10 and beyond. And we truly believe that these first 3 weeks have prepared us, although, we don't necessarily have maybe the record that we want. We know for a fact that it's going to make us better, not only for week 4, but certainly week 6, week 8, week 9, and hopefully and beyond. So I've been really proud of our kids. Sorry, I know it's over 30 seconds, RZ. Don't kill me. But I know I've been really proud of our kids and our leadership as a whole, the way they've handled this 1-2 start. That's not easy to do, but they've handled it greatly. And like I said, we've been very motivated, and we've had a great week of practice.
Dan, we've got Charleston this week. Let's talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, so I'd love to talk about Charleston, the Trojans. First question. It's homecoming, but we'll get to that.
Do we have to?
Did you intentionally schedule Spartans and Trojans? Is there something is there like gladiator theme this year or what? You don't have to answer that. Charleston comes in at 3-0. Am I wrong?
You're correct.
They're undefeated. They're coming up probably thinking, they're on a high. How do you prepare the kids? This is obviously a big game. It's a conference home opener. You took an L at home, which is really, really rare, especially in the regular season. How do you prepare them for the confidence that Charleston brings in, coming in 3-0, you're 1-2 just on paper? And then we talked about a little bit last week or in the post-game show about the distractions and things. How do you keep the guys focused on the task at hand, and what do you expect from Charleston coming in?
Well, long-winded question there. So remind me.
There's at least three questions.
As we go through it, I'll try to make sure I hit them.
The first is gladiator theme, and then how do you prepare for a 3-0 Charleston team?
Again, I think because of the senior leadership that we have, it was very. I didn't have to do much as far as getting them up. They still have a sour taste in their mouth. They know that we kind of let one slip away against a very good ball club. So they were hungry, and you could see it this week in practice. They were hungry to be back at home. They were hungry to get after it again. They had that grit about them this week in practice, and it was kind of that, we got to get this sour taste out of our mouth and let's get after it. And they certainly did. So you're right. Charleston's 3-0, and I think that right there in itself has motivated our kids. We want to be their first loss. And at the same time, again, we have our own goals that we've set forth for our program. And our kids know that this is essentially another step up the ladder as far as achieving some of those goals that we have for our program. So they know what it means. They know what it takes. Again, anytime you have the amount of seniors we have, let alone the quality, the leadership, et cetera, I could go on for days. Again, it kind of takes care of itself. As crazy as that sounds, you don't have to get them up because they're already up, right? Like we say that all the time. You don't have to get ready if you stay ready, right? And again, this group of kids, this group of seniors has done a great job making sure that we stay ready, we stay up. And like I've mentioned multiple times, we've had a great week of practice. I feel we're ready to go for another home game, but certainly the conference opener and a chance to give Charleston their first loss.
Yeah, I mean, that's the goal, right? So Charleston comes in again 3-0. If you're not here in town, obviously watch on Bulldog TV. We'll be there. Chad and I will be there along with Heiser, RZ, and the crew on Bulldog TV, 7 o'clock tomorrow night. And I'm kind of sidetracking here, Chad. We're going to be live next week for the Coach's Couch too, so make sure you subscribe to the channel here, and we'll keep you in tune to where that will be. We'd love to have live people here. We do have Christopher Mahomet. I want to shout out Christopher Mahomet, who got us through this opening segment. We had some sun issues. Christopher Mahomet stepped up. Chris, you're the man. And he blocked that sun for us. So shout out to Chris, the Chris Roberts halftime show, of course. But let's get back on track. Go ahead, Chad. He's got something to say.
Just had a couple of questions come in. The first one is Nicholas from Mahomet.
Oh, hold on. Let me introduce this segment.
Yeah.
So this is new to Coach's Couch. I'm not sure you know about this. So we're calling this segment Sidelines. Okay? We're asking our viewers to go ahead and submit questions. Live audience is welcome to submit questions. Chad's got a few questions that have come in. So, Chad, with that, I'll let you take it away.
All right, first question is from Nicholas from Mahomet. Is the Charleston game personal to you? And if so, how and why?
You know,
you didn't see that one coming.
that's a tough question from a standpoint of yes and no, right? Like Coach Turk loves when I say yes and no. It is because it's another game. It's another opportunity for our kids. And we're at home again, and we love being at home in front of our crowd and our community and our student body, who's one of the best student sections probably in the state of Illinois. So as far as personal, yeah, I'm going to do everything in my power to get a win for our kids because they deserve it. I know how hard they've worked this offseason, this week in particular, et cetera. So when we talk about it as a personal, I would say that's what's personal about it for me, is how bad I want it for these kids. As far as the me versus Charleston thing, no. I have no animosity, no regrets towards anything about Charleston. I grew up there. I live there. I appreciate my mom and dad for taking care of me there. And I appreciate all the opportunities that I got, right? It was, I got to play there. I got to coach there. I started my career there underneath Coach Halsey, who I get to be on the field with again tomorrow night. So that'll be fun. But I'm a Bulldog. And I know I've said this before, and I'm going to continue to say this. My kids know nothing different. They are blue and orange through and through, and we truly believe that. And again, I mean, no disrespect to Charleston as a whole or the people there or whatever. We're Bulldogs, I guess is maybe the best way I can answer that question. So, sorry, Nicholas, but thanks for the question.
Last question here, and this is out of left field. This is from Bernice in Mansfield. I don't know if this is a real question. I run the Central Illinois Knitting Club. If our club knitted a Bulldog football sweater, would you commit to wearing it on the sideline?
Well, I would. How about this, Bernice in Mansfield? I would wear it for the Coach Atkins show. Coach's couch. I would definitely wear it for that. I would not wear it on the sideline because I require my coaches.
You're offending the Central Illinois Knitting Club.
I apologize. Again, I said I would wear it. I would just not wear it on the sidelines.
Okay.
I would definitely wear it right here on this couch for Coach's couch, but not on the sidelines.
All right.
We got to rock our Coach's polo and our long blue pants. So
let's keep this going. I think, Dan, we've got.
We've got one. Yeah, I want to bring in Ryan. Do we have anything online that came in yet, other than Bernice? No. Okay. We've got one more. We've got a live audience member that would like to ask a question. Let's go ahead and bring in Jack Atkins. Jack, why don't you have a seat here next to Coach Atkins? Jack, I'm going to ask you a question first. Go ahead and take the mic from Mr. Chad. My question to you is, do you know this man?
No, I've never seen him in my life before.
Okay, good answer. And what's your question for Coach Atkins?
So, if you ever beat Sycamore, would you go skydiving?
would I go skydiving if we ever beat Sycamore? Well, buddy, I'll tell you this. I told our kids at the end of the game last Friday that I truly believe we're going to get another shot at Sycamore. I think if we continue on the path that we're doing and we continue to take care of business each and every week and get better, I'm hoping that we see them again in the playoffs. And if we beat them, you and me will go skydiving. How about that?
You heard it here.
You heard it here first on Coach's Couch.
Jack, best question of the night.
And by the way, that is on record. That is on the internet or the intraweb.
I love it.
So, oh yeah. RZ, you're going to have to go with and take some video footage of that skydiving experience. Well, Coach, I'm going to ask you to leave for a minute. We've got a kind of new, again, this is all new. We're on the fly here, but we've got some special guests. We asked Coach Atkins, Chad, we asked if he could bring in a couple players for this segment and a couple coaches. We're going to start out with the coaches. So each week we hope to invite some guests. Coach Atkins provided some guests for us. We're going to bring him back because it's his show.
Yeah, it is.
Coach, if you could grab the coaches.
I believe we've got the Murph brothers.
The Murphy brothers. Okay. And you know what? I'm getting, go ahead and get comfortable, boys. I'm getting our executive producer, Cletus,
waving us off to a commercial
has
break.
asked us for a commercial break. So get comfortable. If you need anything, Chad will take care of you.
Oh, no.
And we're going to take a break. We're live, but we'll be right back with the Coach's Couch. All right, folks, thanks for hanging in there. RZ had to take a quick break to reset. You obviously didn't see any commercials because this program doesn't have sponsors. However, we're looking for sponsors. So please get a hold of Coach Adkins, myself, or Chad. We do need a couple of upgrades. They cost about $30 for new mics. Legit, $30. So if you have $30, we accept Venmo, all forms of payment. But let's get on with the Coach's Couch. We have got, it's a Charleston theme. Charleston's coming in.
Family strong.
Coach is from Family Strong. These boys here are from Charleston. We're keeping the theme alive. So, guys, do you mind if I introduce a new segment that I'd like to call, I don't know what we're calling it, but it's sponsored by Bernice and the Knitting Club. Do you mind if we do this new segment?
Let's see if we can knit this conversation together.
So Jason Murphy, right here, and we got Clayton Murphy, and shockingly, they are related, Chad. They're brothers.
I didn't actually know that until just this very
Well, now you know. What's great about their relationship is they can sit together on the coach's couch, but in practice, this guy's in charge of defensive backs, this guy's in charge of wide receivers. I imagine there are some wars via text and otherwise. Let's let Clayton start. What kind of tension is there when you're going head-to-head between games? I want to know about the rivalry. Sibling rivalry is one thing, but when you're at war every day in practice, tell me about that tension.
Well, I live for it. So I've dealt, I don't know how many is it, 34 years now of dealing with this guy and being the younger brother. So, you know, the competition never goes away. It just changes forms. So, you know, we do a lot of head-to-head competition in practice. We think iron sharpens iron. It just happens that, well, you know, I asked John a few years ago, hey, do you have a spot that I could help out? He said, yeah, take wide receivers. And when he said that Jason coaches DBs, I said, okay, I'm never leaving this spot, right? Yeah. So we go at it. We love it. You know, we're back and forth. My guy will beat his guy will beat mine. We're yelling at each other over the huddles and stuff. So it's a lot of fun.
How was Thanksgiving dinner with that kind of competition? That's what I want to know.
Sometimes bloody, you know. Yeah. Depending on the game we're playing, depending on what we're doing. We have a lot of family gatherings where someone's got stitches, somebody's braced up. I don't want to take credit for that one though. Yeah. You know, but you know, we're a very competitive family, 3 boys, always going at it and something. So we try to bring that energy to the kids in practice and elevate ourselves. And of course they love it. I think actually, Dan, one of your kids were trying to get us to do a one-on-one competition a few years ago in practice, but we never brought our cleats. So, you know, we never made it. Yeah, we made a business decision not to get to that point. Yeah. So, but yeah.
So Clayton, a question for you. So wide receivers coach, mm-hmm. I would venture a guess that of any position in the team, you've had the most changes in 3 weeks.
It's been interesting.
How frustrating is that? Because you kind of come into the season with you kind of know what you're wanting to do, right? And then all of a sudden you're dealt a hand that you've got to make some changes. How do you make that decision on who's next on deck? Who's in the, you know what I mean?
Yeah, well, first off, I think my frustration and a lot of the frustration the other coaches share is for the kids themselves, right? We're out here for the kids, wanting to get them to get their best potential, wanting them to reach their goals, and to see those setbacks on their side after all the work and the preparation that they've put in. It's hard to see that, but at the same time, we've got 6 more games on the schedule and we've still got goals to go for, right? So we've got a lot of kids in the program that are working just as hard, that are staying ready for that shot. We're gonna continue with the things we do. We're gonna look at what else can we do. Can we switch packages? Can we switch personnels? Can we elevate kids? Can we get kids more reps in different spots? How can we utilize the skills that we have now and just continue on the path we're forward? But yeah, if you would have asked me 4 weeks ago where we'd be right now, I wouldn't have said it. But my thoughts are with the kids that have had those injuries and those setbacks. But as a coaching staff, we have to come together, brainstorm, and no idea is a bad idea. We just have to figure out if it's going to work for us moving forward. So.
Steal your mic, Clayton. So I'm going to move over to Jason. Jason, you've had a luxury the last few years of having some pretty good personnel on your end. I know, obviously, I've got experience firsthand with my son and his crew, and then, even before that, you had a great senior class with guys like Grindley and Ashenheiser and them. You got a young squad this year. It's been a challenge, no question about it. How has that changed your approach this year, as opposed to kind of having a little bit of luxury of senior leadership year after year? How do you change your approach going in this year? And we've seen Coach Atkins talks about growing up before our eyes. We've seen that week to week. So talk about that and what you expect going forward. But really, what's been your approach to having kind of a unique challenge in that department?
Yeah, so like you mentioned, we only returned one starter from last year in Braden Garrett, and so we knew going into the summer that we were going to compete at least 4 different positions in the secondary. We had to peel back basically and go down to the surface on basics with our playbook. Start from scratch. Those kids bought in hook, line, and sinker in June. The kids that could make it in June, then we had more show up in July, and then just the camaraderie that we've built now through positive competition, through trial and error. I mean, we've had some guys that we've moved around to 2-3 different spots, and honestly, week to week we've moved some of these kids around, and we've gotten other kids opportunities, and so I think it's been good in the fact that we've gotten these young guys plenty of opportunities in whether it's JV or varsity games to see where we're at going into week 4, because like you mentioned, you see that progression week to week, and we saw it over the summer every week. So we're at a point now where we're getting guys in the right spot to be the best player they can be, but we knew it was going to take time and growing pains, right? Yeah. So now we got a young squad that's hungry, and I can't wait to see what they do here moving forward.
And honestly, like, you've thrown them right in the fire, right? Like other seasons, we've kind of had some cakewalks early on. Yep. And so you got to imagine, like, no disrespect to the Apollo Conference, but it should be a little bit more manageable outside of a couple, Mount Zions and them, to kind of grow up a little bit at a pace that you're more comfortable with as a coach. Hopefully, that's the goal. Yep. But the real question I have for you boys, you grew up with Coach Atkins.
Oh, yeah.
At least that's what I heard. I'm shocked. Why are you still hanging out with Coach Atkins? I don't care which one takes that.
Well, I can tell you it's not because of the paycheck. So first and foremost, let's throw that out there. I'll tell you. John and I have known each other since we were 5-6 years old. When he was in 5th, 6th grade, moved right down the road from our parents' house, and so. We developed a friendship, a brotherhood at a young age, and when he got this job in Mahomet, I was psyched just because we get to continue coaching together. We played together for years. Now we get to coach together in something we love doing, have a lot of the same concepts, mindset with, and John's been family to myself, my brothers, my parents since we were little kids. So it was a no-brainer to stick with them and see this thing out.
Yeah, I mean, you make a lot of mistakes in life, and you just end up where you end up, right? No, I'm just kidding. So, no, I would say that, I would say, like Jason said, he's almost a brother, a family member growing up, and I would almost venture back to when we were kids. We would do this same kind of stuff in the backyard, in the front, in the driveway. We would be doing basketball, and we're doing warm-ups, and John's coaching stuff and driving around. We're just like, okay, whatever, John, but it's been interesting. So I'm just glad to have the opportunity and get to know these kids and get to be a part of the community and hopefully make a difference for some of them. So.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, I, for one, am glad you guys didn't stay home. I'm glad y'all came up here, because we're better for it. The second question I got, and then we'll let them go, Chad, is I'm obviously familiar with the flag football program here in town. I happen to notice that we're going to have a coaches duel. Mr. Chad Collins is coaching a team, and I saw that this guy's coaching a team in the same division.
Right.
So,
Late edition.
Chad, is there anything you want to say about that?
Let's just get this out of the way right now. Since it's on the spot, what team are you coaching?
So Ace
Coach?
Hardware, 5th and 6th grade, Ace Hardware.
Color?
Sangria, but it's basically hot pink. That's what yeah, it's hot pink. Yeah.
The program is bursting because of the success.
That's right.
I can say this for sure. I will look at the schedule in a whole new light tonight. And rabbits will be pouring out of the hat. That much I can tell you. This just made the Coach's Couch show worth everything. What will your strategy be, Coach, to beat me?
Let's see. Find a good assistant, I guess, is number one. I'm just going to figure something out on the fly. Because
How will you defend against our disguised DBs?
Well, I mean, I know a little bit about your game plan, so I think I can see the bluff when the bluff's on.
Well, that's what they think.
A lot of halfback passes, let's put it that way.
Yeah. Well, appreciate that, RZ. Let's take a quick non-commercial break, and we'll be back with players.
Hey, welcome back to the Coach's Couch, live at Yoyo's. This is a special night. We're up to 75 viewers last I knew. Again, please come join us in person and also live next week. But in order to know where we're at next week, because we're on the fly on this, make sure you subscribe to this very channel. It's not Bulldog TV, it's this channel that you need to subscribe. We're starting something new with the Coach's Couch. We hope to really build on it and make it a thing where we can go around town, kind of highlight some local businesses in town, support our community, but really highlight this program. And boy, I'm honored to bring in a couple of players. You know, we talk to Coach Adkins all the time. He's always talking about how he can go on for days about his players. Well, we have an opportunity tonight to talk about our players. We've got two of them here. We've got Cade Ashby and, of course, Ethan Esker with us. Cade, boys, do you mind if we start a new segment that we're going to call in the Huddle? And it's sponsored by, once again, we're looking for sponsors. Christopher Mahomet is our sponsor for this segment. We're calling In the Huddle, Inside the Huddle. So let's go right inside the huddle. So Cade, running back, starting running back for the Bulldogs. Great game last week, by the way. What did you think when one of our top players goes down, the game adjusts. What did you think after about the 7th time Burner called your number? Were you getting tired, or did you want more?
I mean, Burner keeps us well conditioned, so I felt like I could get more. And I felt like as a team we adjusted really well to Trey going down. And I just feel like we did a really good job and reacted really good to it.
Exactly. And tell me that you, after the game, you took your O-line out for dinner, or what? Did you get them something?
I'm getting them something.
I'm sorry.
It's coming. I'm getting them something.
By the way, that's on record as well. You offensive linemen, you heard it here first, Cade. I think it has to be something substantial. Okay.
Have a nice dinner.
Nice. What do you say?
A nice dinner.
Okay, hold them to it, boys. But no, Cade, great game. Before we get to Ethan, let's talk about, from an offense perspective, you had a lot coming in, right? Like, everyone knew our offense was going to be good. But is there a little bit of pressure to that as well, knowing that everybody's like, oh, our offense is going to be great, we're going to be fine? What kind of pressure does that bring, though, when there's that standard?
I feel like, yeah, it brings in pressure, but we're all used to it. We all know how to play under pressure, and I think, again, we reacted really good to it and just adjusted really well, so yeah.
Yeah, right on. So before we get to Mr. Esker over here, okay, this is your one and only opportunity to ask Coach Adkins. This is his show. This is his couch tonight. You have an opportunity to ask Coach a question on the spot. So you take your time, think about this.
He's been waiting for this moment.
Cade, Ashby, what would you like to ask your head coach?
This is unbelievable.
We're live.
We're live, Cade. Remember that. We're live. Well, while Cade's thinking, Dan, let me just throw this out there. Maybe most of the viewers or the fans don't know. Cade had 39 carries for us last week. That is the second most all-time in school history. The record is 40. Andrew Brewer had 40 carries in a ball game. Cade missed it by 1. That's the type of workhorse that he was for us last Friday. And again, to be able to have that many carries, to continue to fall forward, like we mentioned in our post-game stuff, the way he was running hard, and then to not have any turnovers, that it was a special night for him, no doubts, and those 5 linemen, so he's going to take them out for dinner. So,
What I want to ask Coach Adkins is, what's his favorite part of coaching the program?
Wow. That is a very good question, Cade. You might have a future in this. My favorite part of coaching the program, honestly, is watching kids succeed. And as cliche as that sounds, it's not even the wins and losses. It is the day in and day out stuff, the getting better at practice, the enthusiasm, the environment that our kids create. Whether it's, we're in the weight room and guys are taking their shirts off, not to name any names.
We'll get to that.
But they're taking their shirts off. They're joking around. They're having a great time. They're singing Miley Cyrus songs. I could go on for days about. There's my favorite.
I told
saying.
you he could go on for days, boys.
About just being around the kids, and again watching them succeed, watching them grow up to become better people, better husbands down the road, hopefully better fathers maybe someday, but just to watch them through a 4-year high school career, grow up, mature, become responsible young men, and then have a lot of fun doing it. That's why I love what I get the chance to do every day. Great question, Cade.
Great job, Cade, and we're glad you're here. We're looking forward to watching you play tomorrow night. Let's move on to the defense. One of our senior-led defensive guys, Ethan Esker, middle linebacker, you play linebacker. Yeah. Coach puts you all over the field, but you're a linebacker. You've played a lot as a sophomore. Yeah. You started as a junior, and now you're a senior. Talk about that growth and what's different about your senior year than the other years.
So my sophomore year, I was put in the game because of just ejections, injuries.
I kind of remember that.
Yeah. So my sophomore year, obviously, they were a pretty good bunch of kids, and I didn't really have to do anything, to be honest with you. I mean, you could have put it in anybody, and we still would have done well. But then my junior year, we lost pretty much our entire defense except one guy. So just having to live up to the expectation, especially like what Nick Golden left. You know, it was hard, but I think last year we like did pretty well. And then now this year, I don't know. It's just something about the senior year, and then all these guys. This is the most fun I've ever had playing football. I'm never unhappy to come to practice. It's always a great time anytime I'm around the guys. So just the players and the environment is what's so different this year.
Yeah, I think that's a culture thing, right, that we've talked about on previous years and episodes and coaches shows. But what we've got building here, which is fun, is joy, right? You play for joy. What I'm hearing is you're having a joy environment, and that's really, it's a game, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, we want to win. It's a lot more fun when you're winning, but when you're having fun and you guys trust each other, it's a lot more fun to play. So talk about some of your other cohorts. You've got 2 guys that return at linebacker with you.
Yeah.
Talk about that bond, and is it kind of a little special, right? Because you've come up together. Talk about those guys and kind of that bond.
Yeah, so last year was my first time playing with either of those guys. I'd say the summer was kind of just getting to know like how Brock played, how Henry played, and then first half of the year we were kind of just building the chemistry, trying to figure out like what went well, what doesn't go well. And then towards the later half of the year, I felt like we kind of picked it up a little bit, but now this year I feel like, you know, all 3 of us are seniors. I feel like we're the leaders of the defense, and I feel like that we're just better well prepared this year.
Yeah, that makes sense. So one thing I noticed, it's Thursday.
Yeah.
I think the kids call it drip. Y'all looking drippy. Is that what they say?
Yeah.
Or is it like Riz, or what do we call this? Is it Risley?
It's only cool if they say
The Rizzler? Yeah. So you guys are the Rizzlers? Is that what we say?
You could say that.
Okay. All right. So while you're thinking your question for Coach, I want you to hand the mic to Coach. Coach, talk a little bit more. I mean, talk about your guy Ethan a little bit and that defensive linebacker group and what they bring to your team and that leadership.
Well, and you mentioned it earlier too, and I was going to speak on that, just about how him getting to play as a sophomore and the experience that gave him. He had kind of touched on it a little bit too, and it was in meaningful minutes, right? Like, he started a few games with a really good defense, so he kind of saw what the expectation was, and he even mentioned it, right, about living up to that. Well, he's now taken that bar and he's now increased it, right? We talk about it all the time. The next group of next class, raising the standard, raising the bar, raising the level, and him as well as Brock and certainly Henry have done that this year. You know, their expectations for our defense as a whole, for themselves personally, just continue to exceed and excel maybe what they were previous game or previous season, so to speak. And so Ethan's done a great job with that. On top of that, Ethan's been a great leader for our entire program. He's not just a leader of the defense. I made some jokes earlier about him in the weight room, but I mean, he is. He's your locker room guy. He's your weight room guy. And he's also your on-field guy as well. He's the leader in the hallways, around the community. Guys look up to him. And again, it's because of his personality and the way he carries himself. The guys feed off of it with great energy, right? We talk about that energy bus all the time. The energy can go one way or another. You can be a downer, or you can be the lifter. And he's certainly the guy that always lifts people up. Again, he's always smiling, always finding a way to have fun at practice or whatever. And again, guys feed off of that, and it makes them have a better practice and them have a better day. So it sucks that I'm running out of time with them. I'll tell you that, and I say this a lot too. I tell the seniors, your clock's ticking, and at the same time, my clock's ticking with them, and I hate that. I hate it when it gets to this part because I want nothing but success for them. So back to Nicholas's question, I want it for these kids, and a kid like Ethan who has done so much for this program over his 4 years, last 3 specifically, he deserves nothing but success, and so I hope tomorrow night's a victory, a homecoming victory for him, and I hope he gets multiple playoff victories, etc., because him and the senior class definitely deserve it. So
absolutely. Ethan, you have a question for Coach, but before I get to that, if you've played the game on Friday nights, I hope you guys understand you're only guaranteed 2 more home games. Yeah. One's tomorrow night. Really capture the moment and enjoy it. Now, I know you got a little bit more time, but Ethan, enjoy it. Enjoy the ride. We're looking forward to seeing you out there tomorrow night, making plays, flying around the football field, calling your name. Your turn to ask Coach a question.
Why did you start coaching?
He says, why did you start coaching? Okay.
So, great question, Ethan. Probably one of my favorite questions to answer, honestly. I was raised by a single mom, and football changed my life. I had a head coach who had an impact in my life and made a massive difference in my life until my stepdad got involved. But without my head coach, I truly don't know what path I would have went down, but he kept me on the straight and narrow. He got me to love the game of football and want to go play it beyond high school, and I knew that I couldn't get there if I wasn't doing the right things. So his overall motivation, and I get to see him on the field tomorrow night for the first time in my career, so it's going to be special because he does mean a lot to me, and I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for him and several other people, but because of the impact that he had on my life is what made me want to go give back. I thought, if somebody can have that impact on me, man, I just think of the impact that maybe I can have on others, and so to try to give back, I guess, and be an influence in kids' lives and be there for them if they need it. That's why I got into coaching.
Well, that got really deep, but that was amazing. Like, that is pretty inspiring.
Question.
You're lucky to have a coach like that, guys. And when you need a resume builder, I know he'll be there for you.
Speaking of, I actually just wrote him a letter of recommendation. So
we're looking forward to the rest of the year with you boys. Stay healthy, keep grinding. Coach talks about dogs. You guys are dogs, so keep representing on and off the field. And we're looking forward to the rest of the season. And Coach, with that, we don't have anything left for the coach's couch.
Oh, I thought you were bringing Chad back in. I thought he had a wrap.
You're right. Where is he, though?
He's over there.
You know what? We'll take a quick break. We'll take a quick break. Check out the schedule. RZ's going to put the schedule on. Do not go anywhere. We'll be right back for the coach's couch with Chad. We got to find him. There he is.
He's got his name on his shirt. It's hard to miss.
Oh, yeah, he's got his name. Good job, guys. Thank you.
Dan, get with it.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
You're smelling the flatbread pizza.
Well, this is live.
Yeah.
It does smell like flatbread pizza. That's the theme for you tonight, isn't it?
Well, I put an order in.
Oh.
Here at Yoyo's live.
I hope you got enough for all of us. Again, we're live. We had a couple viewer questions that rolled in, so before we wrap this coach's couch up, let's get right to it. First question is from Mr. Anderson. He wants to know who's running this flawless stream, and it's none other than
Ryan Ziegler. Hey, listen, all kidding aside.
Thank you.
This kid dedicates so much time and energy to this, along with Bulldog TV when we do it on Friday nights, but really appreciate all this kid does. RZ, you're doing an amazing job.
Yeah, no, I'm going to. Yeah, go ahead, Coach.
I just got a chance to kind of sit behind him when you had the assistants on here, and I'm watching him copy stuff and put it up and post it and switch between cameras, and then he's checking other things and it's his own equipment too, we might add. Yep. I mean, RZ's the man. Anybody that don't give us donations, it's all going to go to him because he deserves it, and we appreciate you, RZ, for putting on this production. You the man.
Zillion%. I'm going to echo both those comments. Ryan Ziegler started as a young kid in Bulldog TV. I've been around Bulldog TV for a long time now too, and he started out a young, kind of punky kid, and he's grown into a true professional in the field, and he's got a really, really bright future, and we're really proud of him, watching him grow. But he has another one that came in. This is how good he is. He texts me these questions as they come because he can do all of it and text, which I can barely tie my shoes. That's why I don't have. If you notice, I don't tie my shoes.
You got Velcro shoes on, old man
because
Velcro
I can't
shoes?
even walk and tie. Anyway, Coach Atkins, this is from Everyday Relatables. No idea who that is, but we'd appreciate a first and last name next time. But Everyday Relatables asks, how's Coach Atkins feel about having less home games this year? Does it affect momentum? It's a great question.
Yeah, that is a great question. I don't necessarily say that it affects momentum, but I do love being at home more. I mean, I think anybody would tell you that I love our fans. I love our community. I love our band. I love watching the percussion lead us down the ramp. Us running through the tunnel. I could, again, your favorite saying, could go on for days about, Bulldog TV too. I love our Bulldog TV too. But no, I wish we had more home games. I wish we were 5 this year and 4 on the road. But unfortunately, this was the second flip of that schedule. So that's why it looks like it's back-to-back years of 4 games at home. Unfortunately, because it's the new rollover, this is a 4-5 year, and next year will be a 5-4 year. So we'll be at home 5 next year. So looking forward to that. But you mentioned it earlier. We got 2 more opportunities on our turf in front of our crowd. We got to make the most of them. One of them's homecoming. All your alumni and student body and community members are going to be there. Time for you to put on a show. And then the last one is senior night. And when you're a senior-led team, you better put on a show on your night. So we got 2 more opportunities on our turf to put on a show, and I know our kids are going to make the most of them.
Coach, this wasn't part of the questions, but I think a lot of viewers would like to know, how far out in advance are you scheduling the next season or 2, and how do you determine who those teams are?
Yeah, so Mr. Hensley and I usually sit down and try to talk about, who we want to schedule, where we would like to see our schedule go. Unfortunately, the last couple of years it's been hard because as the better we've gotten, the less teams knocking on the door to want to say yes to play us. So that's why you've noticed we've made a 3-hour trip to Quincy. We went down to Highland this year. We're going to Sycamore next year, which again, I'm okay with that. I want to play those type of teams because I know that those are the type of teams that are going to prepare us for what our ultimate program goals are, and that's to make a deep run in the playoffs and to win a state title. That's why I'm here. That's why I took this job. I truly believe it can be done here, and I think we're on the right track. And you got to schedule teams like that. Unfortunately, again, it's very hard to find teams that will say yes, even some of those far ones away. Highland dropped us starting next year. So again, we're kind of back on the market here, looking for another game. But Mr. Hensley does a great job of putting it out there. I think he's up to 2028, maybe 2029. It helps our conference, right? Your conference schedule is always going to stay the same, so you're really looking at 3 to 4 non-conference games, and usually you lock those in for a 2-year deal, a home and away deal. So that kind of helps at least a couple years there if you can find an opponent. Morton, we love playing them. We've developed a really good rivalry with them. I think we've extended that out maybe through 2030, I feel like, just because, again, they want to play us, they like playing us, and we certainly like playing them. It's a good battle. So we've extended that contract out for a while. But then, it's going to kind of be this hodgepodge year in and year out of who will play us, who has an opening, and who will play us. Because right now, we're kind of at the point in our program where we'll play anybody, and as long as it's within a reasonable distance. I mean, we were actually looking at maybe some Wisconsin teams or Indiana teams last year. I think we were, but we'll play anybody because, again, I think that's going to prepare us and make us better for what our program goals are.
That's a great answer to a question I didn't have the answer to. So, thinking of that, I'm going to save the last question for next week.
Ooh.
It's not germane to tonight.
Perfect.
And I think, Dan, unless you have anything else, that's going to wrap up episode 3 of Coach's Couch here live at Yoyo's. Come out and join us next week. Again, at the risk of sounding redundant, because Dan said it 3 times, if you're in town, come to the game tomorrow night. We need you live there cheering for us in person while we take on Charleston for homecoming. That's a wrap.
Speaking of homecoming, we get a chance to honor the new inductees into the Hall of Fame ceremony. It'll be pregame as well. So hopefully fans can be there to honor and celebrate those inductees that are going into the Hall of Fame. I know our kids will be on the sideline cheering those inductees on, because again, what a great honor. So congratulations to them, and hopefully again fans can show out to honor those inductees as well.
That's a great call out, and I hope that at some point, maybe when we're 80 or something, Dan and I get to have a BTV Hall of Fame or something like that. Until next week, it's not going to happen. Until next week, thanks for joining in here tonight on Coach's Couch. I almost said Couch's Coach. All right, that's it. That's a wrap for tonight. Thank you.